One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. So let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads. I'm feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They're telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me. Stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take them chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
What up, though? What up, though? 7 days, and we're back again for another episode of the Dominant Effect. It's Archbishop Mike Ball and Aaron Olinger. Man, sorry for being so late. We had a little technical difficulty. Had to work out, but we all good now. But before we get into the story, like always, we check to see what everybody been up to for the week. So we'll start with you, Aaron. What's up with you, brother? How was your week?
Well, it's good week. It was productive for me. 2 days ago, I set up a rain catchment system on the back of my house. That rain diverter I showed in the last show, I went on and attached it, got out the drum that I bought last year, bought the materials I need to put everything together, and got that set up 2 days ago. It's raining here now, so I went out there to check it, and it's actually catching rainwater, so I can use that to keep my toilets running, garden, drinking, as long as I can purify it. So I'm happy with that. I'm also happy I got my Diamond Effect shirt here, as you can see.
Shit. Nice.
And then,
yeah.
And
Look what I found, Aaron. There's your setup right there.
Yeah,
I found it.
That's it.
The rain diverter.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And then this Saturday, I'm signed up for a class from 9 to 4 to get myself certified in CPR. So, that's a goal that I have each and every year. I try to learn, at least take 4 or 5 classes just to gain more knowledge that I can share with other people. And I'll stop there.
Man, I'm jealous of that shirt right now. I thought my Harley Davidson shirt was all right, but that beats it. So, yeah, this week was a great week. Unfortunately, Naomi in the chat there, you guys here, she just left here yesterday. So, yeah, it's been a great, enjoyable week. It's been crazy in the news, as I'm sure that all of you guys have been following, and that's primarily where my focus has been is the news. So, yeah, it's been a crazy landscape to say the least.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's say past week has been it's been eventful. I was had to go to LA over the weekend for
Los
that.
Angeles.
Yeah, I had to go for an in-person casting call for a movie that I had put in for a few months ago, but
Damn.
they had narrowed it down to 3 people, so we had to go and stand in front of the directors and producers and do it in front of them. So it was a good time.
That's cool. Do they have kind of a sidebar question on this? Do they pay for that? Like the expense to go there, or do you have to self-invest in that?
No, they paid for the hotel.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
And half of the airfare.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So it's not.
Yeah,
it's not crazy at all. That's cool that they get at least just getting the hotel room is really a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was cool. We got to hang out a little bit. It was a good time, and that was about it, man. I can tell you, I came home and it was kind of like back to the normal. You know what I mean? When you it's good to leave your area for a while, kind of get a breather. Then you come back and you're like, okay, that's back to it. You know what I mean? And I did get gifted this hat over the weekend. It's a Puerto Rico hat. Cool. I had to sport it because they went out the way to make sure they got it to me. So
that's awesome.
But this show here, what we're going to talk about, and some of this stuff we've talked about before, but I'm gonna tell you where I came up with this. I was messing around on ChatGPT, and you go through there, you ask all kind of questions, and they gives you like a full rundown on everything.
Man, I've been stuck on ChatGPT for the last month. I mean, for real, I'm using it every day for everything. It's kind of crazy.
Right, and it gives you a lot of information. So I was on there looking up stuff dealing with the economy, what the social stance was, stuff like that. I was looking up. So I put in a question that I asked based on the current economic situation. Give me a full rundown for the next year. And it dropped it down in phases.
So wait, it's projecting.
Right.
With the data already, leading up to this point.
So it's based on all the data that is already done received, and it made a projection based on it. So as I started reading it, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do a show about this because of exactly what all it said. But it broke it down into phases.
That's cool.
That we're gonna go into. So the way I titled this is that what if I told you that the U.S. economic collapse isn't coming, but it's already here, but it's moving in slow motion. So now I'm gonna say this first and foremost: this isn't fear mongering. This is just a pattern recognition based on the patterns that's already been going on. Okay, so I don't want nobody pop on there talking about, oh, you're making a damn conspiracy.
There already is, right?
No, we're not.
Zombie apocalypse is coming. Yeah. No, it's funny. What happened to AB? Lag. There you are.
Not making a conspiracy and pat. Right. And like I said, a lot of this stuff when I started going through it, some of the stuff was stuff that we have already been putting out there, which made this a lot more. It made a lot more sense to me because this is some of the stuff that we've talked about with some of the stuff that it also projected on here, but it actually gives a timeline on this, where before we were speaking, broad spectrum. This one here breaks it down.
I'm actually interested in that because my use of this whole chat GTP or whatever, I've been using it a lot. And so that's very interesting how it's projecting based on what it's already currently, the data up to this point. And now it's actually kind of giving you a timeline here, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna start with phase one. So phase one is the summer of 2025, which is what we're in right now. And it says debt is climbing, evictions are rising, credit cards are maxed out, middle class is being hollowed out. You can feel it in your gut, even if the stock market still smiles in your face. And it started dropping more into, it says, more credit card and auto loan defaults.
I'm sure
especially in the South and the Midwest.
Isn't that one of the first things is a good tell sign, like it's going down when you start getting your shit repoed?
Well, yeah. Then you got small business closures rise due to weak customer demand and high interest cost. Commercial real estate loans start defaulting faster, hitting mid-sized banks. A lot of the more smaller banks that was giving the bigger loans are the ones that's getting hit, because take like Farmers, for instance, that was no longer getting USAID, but they had spent all this money, plus they had got these loans. Now these loans are going in default because they got to be able to pay these loans off.
No kidding.
They were depending on the aid to be able to pay the loans. Now you're not getting that money, which is defaulting on a lot of that stuff. And
a little bit of a domino effect.
Right. It says the stock market shows volatility, especially in real estate, retail, and regional banking, which we've already seen that going on. And it's been going on for several months now. Quiet layoffs increase, especially in trucking, logistics, and retail. We've seen a lot of that go on as well. A lot of layoffs. Just seen a thing the other day where Amazon was getting ready to lay off a bunch of people. There's been I think we did a show about this a while ago about all the different layoffs that were supposed to have happened and how you could go on there and actually check to see if your company was one of the ones that was going to be laid off. So there's still a lot of this stuff going on. Now, mind you, I know a lot of people were thinking, and we've talked about it before, that a lot of the manufacturing jobs and stuff like that was supposed to come back to the U.S., which is some of the talk that they've been saying for months now. But with that, you also have to understand that they just can't just pop up and then that's a process.
It can take years sometimes.
Right. And from what I've seen, the last thing that I seen on that the other day, that it said it would take at least for them to bring manufacturing back here and make it back to where it used to be on the manufacturing front, that it would cost at least $4 trillion to do that. And then too, you got a lot of these big companies that they could come back here, but they don't want to have to pay the wages to come back here. So that's another issue, especially when they have these factories in these other countries and they're paying people way less to do that, as opposed to bringing them here and having to pay higher wages. A lot of them just ain't into that. You know what I mean? That's just reality. You know what I mean? So, so even with the manufacturing part, I mean, yeah, it'll take several years to be able to have that fully function to where it would even show anything. But right now, this is just based on this year. You're going to have a lot of layoffs. You know what I mean? And there's been a lot of layoffs. Unemployment rises. Unemployment compensation. You only go.
Do you think AI has any bit of that?
Right. Some of them.
There's a whole bunch of stuff that kind of goes into it, like the shitty economy, AI taking over. I mean, shit, we were just talking about how ChatGPT spit out a list for you, It's kind of crazy how AI, how powerful it really is.
Mm-hmm. So like I said, this is summer of 2025, which this is what we're going through right now. So everything that is said right there is exactly what's going on right now. So there's no question with that. Fall of 2025, it shows the middle class squeeze.
Oh shit. What's up, K2? Good to see you. Hopefully he comes back. AB. Oh well. Yikes. What's up, Aaron?
Hey, my man.
So, out of curiosity, he's probably going to drop out right now. So, he'll probably have to really reload back in. So, I know that you also have a lot that we were talking behind the scenes of the amount of things that are going to, kind of like a domino effect of things that not only do you have to be ready for, but tell me a little bit about that list that you were talking about.
Okay, well, part of the signs is part of what AB said on phase one. You're going to have high unemployment. You're going to have civil unrest, which we're seeing. Cost increases. Everything has gone up due to inflation. Homelessness. Right now in the United States, the amount of people that have been evicted or now homeless is higher than I've ever seen in my entire life.
What is that number?
That I don't know, because every city has a number, and I think California on Skid Row is around 60 or 70,000. I mean, that's the size of a city right there by itself.
I'm actually looking that up right now because I'm curious.
Okay. Then housing affordability. Keep in mind that 35% of all homes are rentals, but can people afford to rent now? Can they afford to buy?
No one can.
These homes have gone up so high, and as the Federal Reserve has said, and the World Economic Forum has said, the day will come where you will own nothing and you will be happy.
Damn straight. And it's coming more of a reality here. Now, real quick, I do want to answer because I got from ChatGPT right here. I asked it, what is the national eviction rate currently? And it gave me the latest stat, which was in 2024. The overall national eviction filing rate was approximately 7.3% when including full states in the data set, meaning about 7 to 8 evictions filings per 100 renter households. That's insane. Okay. And I'm sure it's already boosted more from 2024 to now.
Right. And that doesn't count the amount of mortgages that people are defaulting on right now.
Right.
Because businesses and jobs are moving. Debt is climbing, as he said. The national debt's higher than I've ever seen it in my entire life. In fact, the expenses of this country outnumber the amount of income coming in. That's the whole reason why they're having to cut programs. I mean, if your income exceeds your expenses, you have to cut expenses. And that's the reason why a lot of these programs are being cut. 65% of Americans are living on their credit cards and they're maxed out. They're trying to maintain a lifestyle that they cannot afford. I mean, we've talked about this before. To live below your means guarantees you success. At your means, it's you're walking a tightrope. Above your means, you're going to collapse.
Now, how many people, honestly, Aaron, do you think live above their means in the United States specifically? I mean, obviously, we've talked about this before, this topic, and saying you should not live even at your means. You should live way below that for your reserve. Now, how many people do you think live above their means where they're spending way more than they make annually?
Be truthful with you, I would have no idea, but that number would have to be so
Astronomical.
obscenely high
Yes.
because people are flexing to try to impress people that really don't care.
Well,
You know,
I've always said, I mean, like one of the things that happened to me with my leg and my situation, it actually made me realize a lot of things. Like I had bought many cars that were very fancy for the badges and all this shit. And there's, of course, cope reasons that you can come up with. But essentially, you're buying something to impress somebody that doesn't give a fuck about you in the first place. So what
Right.
are you doing that for? Like, don't be that's me at 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. Now I'm 30. Now I'm not that much older now, but I have definitely quickly realized that is not the way to do shit. For real.
and see in that phase one, what we want to focus on is paying off high interest debt, especially those credit cards. Cut unnecessary spending. And I'm gonna give you an example of unnecessary spending. Right now, the average American eats out 4 to 5 times a week. That's average.
And I'm that probably
Oh,
that statistic.
I fall in there too.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm right there.
Actually, I eat out more than that.
So do I. Yeah.
But I'm gonna cut that down. But I mean, consider the amount of money that you could save if you are eating more home cooked meals. Plus, they're gonna be healthier for your health because if we go into these hard times, maintaining your health to be optimal is going to be vital because you don't know what circumstances you're going to have to try to survive or try to make it through, and your body has to be able to perform. So I'm going to have to cut back on that 4 to 5 times a week. And
Me
right
too.
now, 50% of Americans do not have an emergency food supply for themselves or their animals. I mean, people don't even think about their animals, but 50%, that's half the population, doesn't have an emergency supply of food in their house. And, in picking that food, you want to consider something that's going to be long-term shelf life, calorie dense, and shelf stable. And uh, a lot of people just aren't looking at it because they're living for the here and now. They worry about tomorrow when it gets here. And tomorrow is what we're talking about. Because if you wait to prepare for an economic collapse when it starts to happen, it's too late then.
Good luck.
This is something you got to do in phases ahead of time. You want to build that emergency savings that we talked about, keeping in your home. And also have it in ones, fives, tens, and 20s where you can make change. Then you also want to stock up on basic items, non-perishables, water, batteries, food, canned goods. And you want to start networking and looking for backup income. I mean, my hobby that I have that turned into a business for me of doing the gun shows and things and different trade shows, I learned that under Reagan. And I've just been doing it ever since. If you got handyman skills, that could be used to barter and trade with, or even earn you a second income. I mean, in the service industry, you'd be surprised the number of baby boomers out here like myself that are elderly. We can't get up there and clean the gutters out no more without risking our lives or doing certain things, digging in the gardens and stuff. If you got handyman skills, and you can make money at that right now. I mean, when it snows out there, it's hard on me to get out there and shovel that snow. But if some young guy wanted to come along and buy it, man, I'm more than willing to pay.
Right. Right.
So, you got to take these things in consideration.
Well,
And
and
then,
I look at food like,
ahead.
for instance, like I have beans and rice stocked down in my cellar, whatever, bunker, whatever. And I've always said in this regard that food is cheap, but nutrition is expensive.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but if you're in that time where you're trying to survive, that's going to keep you surviving. You something
Right.
as basic as that. You don't have to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars. I mean, it's smart to do so if you can, but it doesn't have to be as expensive as people think.
And I'm going to make a statement here that's going to sound profound. And that is the more independent of the utilities you can be, the better
Right.
it's going to be for you, because anything can happen in an economic collapse. They can shut the water off, power could go off temporarily for
I can't live
brownouts
without AC, dude.
or whatever. Right. So do you have the ability to create your own power? Do you have ability to catch water? Like you saw the rain catchment system that I set up.
Right. Super smart.
And then I have the filters to be able to filter that water to make it safe to drink. But certain skills. I see AB's back, so I'll stop right there and let him get back to what he was talking about on phase 2.
Yeah, it's storming over here, and it knocked my internet out.
Shit. Happens.
Right. So okay, where was I at?
It was phase 2. You're getting ready to talk about phase 2.
Phase 2, the middle class squeeze. It says white collar layoffs, student loans biting, rising healthcare and rent costs. This is when people start to realize that this isn't just a slowdown, that this is the hard grind. The layoff section would be especially finance, legal, marketing, and HR. Healthcare costs rise sharply as insurers adjust inflation and aging population pressures, and student loan default spike. Again, after the pause payments, remember they paused the payments for the longest, and then they came back in, and now they're having those people pay those student loans and stuff back. So,
right.
They said that in the fall, this is one of the bigger things that's going to hit.
Was having to pay that.
Right. Having those, because a lot of those people didn't have to pay those student loans back. You know what I mean?
Back
and
then,
now, right.
Because it was an empty promise.
Right.
Which we were seeing in the Trump administration as well. So, I mean, it happens all around.
Right. It also says the used car market and housing prices begin dropping, especially in overvalued markets. And I always thought, well, with the automotive part, yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I could see the prices dropping there. I can also see the housing prices dropping because of if you have so many default loans. Then,
right.
I mean, they had the same thing back a while ago. Remember back years ago when they had the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and everybody they did a mass layoff to start laying off a whole bunch of people. People were just leaving those houses. They would just turn the keys over, and they had a hard time trying to get the housing market back on track again. And they had to drop those prices to be able to have people start jumping in and start buying those houses back, where they can, even after the government bailout, to be able to get the housing market back on track. Now, for the past few years, housing market has been outrageous.
Yeah, no kidding.
You've been paying for houses 2-3 times what they're worth.
And it's going to only get worse, it seems. It
Right.
seems like this bubble will never pop.
Well, see, the bad part about that is that when these prices do go down, and the housing market does drop.
Sure.
So a house that you didn't pay, say you didn't pay $300,000 for that house, but that house was actually only
175,
170,
sure.
175. Now meet $150,000 in already, that that you ain't gonna get that back as long as that market is down. So you don't.
And a lot of people start getting rid of their shit. They get
right.
Either, not many people are going to sit there and sacrifice knowing they're paying double or whatever the case is for something that's half the value. Most people are going to sell at that point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. So number 3 is the winter. That's winter 25-26. And they call that the banking panic. It says that regional banks are on the edge. Real estate defaults are piling up. The FDIC can't save everyone at once. And
true.
This phase could actually become ugly real fast. So it says that several regional banks those exposed to real estate and high risk debt may fail or need a bailout. Federal Reserve faces a dilemma because if it cuts rates to save jobs or holds them to fight inflation. Rent delinquencies rise, especially in urban centers. Homelessness trickles upwards. Wealth inequality becomes a top political flashpoint heading into 2026 election cycle. And a possible market correction between 10 to 20% of consumer confidence collapse. So with that, it's primarily saying, like I said, just springboarding off of the fall into the winter. The banking is gonna hit a hit. They're gonna take a hit, especially with real estate, because people default on these loans. And also the ones that some of these banks that took out those high risk loans, of course, you're not gonna be able to pay those back. You know what I mean? Which turn around, you're gonna take another hit over top of that. And they've been talking about the deal with the Federal Reserve. Now they've been talking about that for the longest, about whether I know Trump wants them to cut the rates, and they haven't. And they talked about a bunch of different reasons as to why they haven't cut the rates yet. And it was basically the whole thing of being able to fight the inflation, because if they do cut the rates to be able to save on one end, then it's going to smack you on the other end. It's going to make it worse. I don't know. I think that's like a catch-22 there. Don't you think, Aaron?
It definitely can be. It's something. This whole thing is a slow process, like you said earlier. It's not going to happen overnight. They'll do all they can to keep us from going into this, but from the way the phases that I read that you sent me, I see a lot of this going on right now, and people are totally oblivious to what's happening. But I'll stop there for right now.
So it says that the localized banking problem could spread if it's not carefully managed. So now you jump into the spring and summer of 26. And this says that the collapse becomes more mainstream. You got corporate bankruptcy spikes, especially zombie companies relying on cheap debt. Federal and state services face funding gaps. Social services, Medicaid, pensions gets trimmed. Unemployment passes 6 to 7%, particularly among youth, minorities, and blue-collar workers. The dollar begins to weaken as foreign confidence slips. Gold, Bitcoin, and commodities rise, which we've already seen that. And global investors pull back on U.S. debt, forcing more Treasury intervention. Like I said, some of this stuff we've already seen, and we've talked about the dollar weakening, and we've talked about especially China and Japan being the fact that they hold most of the Treasury debt that the U.S. has. Mm-hmm. And China used to be number one. Now they're down to number two because they've actually been selling off on that. Japan is number one. And then you also have where I think they just had a BRICS summit a few days ago.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, they had another one a few days ago, and their primary focus, from what I've gathered on there, was that they were going to start basically just messing with each other. So those ones that's in BRIC, they're going to start doing everything amongst each other and trying to push the U.S. out of it, mm-hmm. which is going to be a hard thing to do. It's going to be a hard thing to do, and it's not going to be, like it sounds like one of them situations where, okay, you ain't allowed to play with my toys no more, and I'm gonna take my ball and
Straight
go home.
up.
You know, but there's ramifications for doing that, which is going to come back to what we was talking about before. You know, when you start messing with this money, and you messing with it too much to the point that they feel like, okay, you about to shut us out on something. That's where war comes in at. You know what I mean? So it's not an easy situation. Do they have everything in place right now that they could just jump up and just do this? No, they don't. And the U.S. does play a big factor into that, but it's not that this stuff hasn't been talked about. You know what I mean? They've been dead on talking about this stuff.
Yeah, like in advance by 10 years plus. Yeah,
exactly. So you said that let's see, federal and state services face funding gaps, social services, Medicaid, and pensions, which we already talked about that. That was a part of the big beautiful bullshit bill that they passed, and there's going to be some substantial cuts to that, and there's going to be some. I mean, there's going to be some people that's going to suffer for that. They know that. You know, it's going to be hard on a lot of them, especially primarily more of the elderly than I would say the youngs. You know what I mean? Because the young ones can still go out. They can still go out and go to work and stuff like that. But the elderly ones, yeah, that's going to be a problem. And you have a lot of you have more elderly people now than ever, because you know those that went through the baby boom, those are all older now. You know what I mean? So you
true.
So
guys
so
my age that's starting to run this shit.
Right. So it's there's going to be a lot of cutbacks. It's going to hurt a lot of people. You know what I mean? Whether they, you know, when you sit back and talk to some of these ones that never even fucking read the bill, what do you do? What do you do on that?
Shit, I'm not going to read a 1,200 page bill anyways. I mean, I don't think the average American ever would.
Let's see.
Including myself.
You wouldn't.
Right.
But if you voting on something, okay, give you an example. You said you want to run for House Representatives, right? Your job is to do what?
Represent the people here in my districts.
Right. So your job is to do what when that bill comes?
Represent the people's.
Read that fucking bill.
Well, of course, if I'm in politics, of course I'm going to have to read it. I'm going to have to
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So when you have these ones here that voted
voted on this, right,
and then turn around and say, "Oh,
well, they read it. They read it all in Congress. I mean, they read it once they voted again on it the second time or whatever. They agreed to read it in Congress,
but they didn't.
I'm sure they didn't.
How many?
I'm sure they didn't, but that's what the statement was. But I'm sure that who's going to listen to someone rattle on 1,200 pages? Not me.
That's all part of it.
Of course.
That's all part of it. You know what I mean? Because your job is what, first and foremost? Your constituents. Right?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So if there was something in that bill that would jeopardize, let's say, 25% of your constituents, and you didn't read that bill, and
I voted for it, right.
Then you like, oh man, I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't read this. You know what I'm saying?
It seems to be like a political out for a lot of these politicians, though, to be able to use that as leverage, to be able to go, well, I just didn't see that.
Right. But don't you think, though, you know what I mean, being the fact that every vote that you cast, it's recorded.
Of course.
So they know who voted for it and who
There's
didn't.
a track record, of course.
Exactly. So if you come out later on, say like, okay, so we're talking about spring and summer of 26. Now, this is also, you know, right around election season, going to be coming up right after this. And you out here campaigning right now.
Right.
And you campaigning saying, okay, well, we're not going to let them do this, not going to let them do this, we're not going to let them do this. But they're like, well, hold on. this is the shit that you voted for that you say you didn't read.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I get you. And the way that politicians move, I don't agree with. Of course, I mean, I'm the exact opposite of even what my own party that I would represent. They wouldn't even like my rhetoric and the way that I look at things and question things. They wouldn't like that. Of course not.
mm-hmm.
All I'm about is about truth. That's it. You know what I mean? And every party's gonna hate that.
Mm-hmm. So during this time, like I wrote down some stuff that you probably should do during this particular time, and I wrote down stay mobile, connected, and secure. If whatever system that you have going on, if it falters, because a lot of people really aren't prepared for a lot of this stuff that's going on. Home and family. I mean, of course, have a 72-hour bag, ID, meds, cash, flashlights, food, chargers. No 3 evac routes, at least 1 out of town contact. Print important documents, passports, bank information, medical history. For your community and your security, I have establish or join a local safety network, neighbors, church, online group. Keep your car in good repair, half full of gas, like Aaron always says.
No kidding.
And consider some type of self-defense training. If anything happens, crime surges, stuff like that. But the overall goal, I would say, is to adapt and be able to rebuild from a position of strength rather than weakness.
Sure.
And what I mean by that is knowing your legal rights, doing emergency declarations, stuff like that. Learn key skills, like Aaron was talking about, first aid, bartering, growing food, being able to fix things. This is stuff that's going to be important.
Trades. Yep.
Right. Because as prices go up, things go up, you're not going to be able to, you may not be able to get all the stuff that you would normally get. So you're going to have to be able to rely on what you have. Be prepared to shift roles or careers in a new economy, local production, aid work, etc. You may not be able, your job that you're working now may not be available during that time. You may have to switch and do something else. But have that mindset that you're able to do that. But also dealing with the mindset is connect with others that want to be cooperative and not panic driven. Because when this stuff goes on, I mean, the number one thing that you have to do is be calm. I mean,
Yeah, no kidding.
If
practice your stoicism, for real.
Yeah. So if you know that this stuff is going on and you know about this stuff ahead of time, then you know how to prepare for it. So when it does happen, this isn't a situation like, I know Aaron, for instance, something goes on in Dayton and he sees it, he already automatically knows exactly what he needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is he going to panic and do it? No. Why? Because he's already done rifled this through his mind long enough that he already knows, okay, I gotta do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. And based on the stuff that he's already done prepared for prior to, it's not gonna have a problem as compared to someone who just kind of sat back and just waited for it to happen. And then now it's right in your face and you in panic mode. You kick up into survival mode super quick. You know what I mean? As in, instead of actually preparing for stuff. Like I said, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
True.
I also have on here to stay informed and not overwhelmed. Rotate news sources and verify your information. So don't just take one somebody's word for it. Go around, do your actual information, look up this stuff, and get all the information that you can get. You know what I mean? That's the primary thing about a lot of this stuff. It's the overall information. It's not just about what CNN or Fox News or MSNBC puts out there. It ain't just what we put out there. Do your information. I mean, do your research. Go out there and look it up. Look it up just like we look it up. It's there. If it wasn't there, we wouldn't be able to find it. You know what I mean? It's there. They just don't want to tell you about it. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean that it's not there. It's just hidden in plain sight for the most part. And a lot of this, like you said, if you want to hide something from somebody, best thing to do, put it in a book. People don't like to read.
That's right. Or put it in a bill.
Yeah, exactly. That damn show ain't reading that.
Shit.
Damn show ain't reading that. Okay, so now we're into, let me see. We did spring, summer 26. Now we're gonna hit fall, winter 26, which it considered as full-blown structural crisis if unchecked.
Is this still section 2 of this
No.
whole thing? Okay.
No, this is actually 5.
Okay, so this is like layer 5 into this.
Right. So it started
Gotcha.
like it went summer 25, fall,
So
winter.
yeah, I got you.
then drop down fall, winter, summer, you know what I mean, back down. So this is saying full-blown structural crisis if unchecked. Okay. Key word, if unchecked. Potential political crisis if economic collapse leads to widespread protests and state level in defiance. Elections become flashpoints with calls for radical reform, debt conciliation, or assistance rhetoric. Military and emergency management budget stretched, especially if climate disasters keep hitting simultaneously, which they are. Potential for major reset proposals. New currencies, guaranteed income, and debt jubilee. At this stage, the system either transforms or breaks further under pressure.
Which I'm sure is just going to break.
Yeah, exactly. This one here is where basically shit hits the fan.
So this is fall of 26?
This is winter of 26.
Winter. Okay, got
Well,
you.
fall, winter 26.
Got you. Okay.
So you have political, military and emergency management, and a potential for a major reset proposal, which at that point, which basically means that the dollar then basically went to shit, and they coming up with new ways to be able to supplement it, which falls back into what we were talking about prior to about when we was talking about the
Go back.
gold, the silver,
Right.
all of that. Now, so here's the leading. Hold on, let me read this first. It says, what hasn't collapsed yet? Okay. Of course, the stock market. The stock market indices like the S&P 500 are still relatively strong, partially due to AI-driven tech optimism and corporate buybacks. The job market officially, unemployment remains under 5%, but labor force participation is weak, and many are working multiple jobs and get work. The GDP. GDP is still growing slightly, but quarterly growth is slowing. And some indicators suggest that we're close to stagflation, which is basically slow growth plus persistent inflation. Which that's what we're.
It feels like we're in the now. Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Basically, we're in the midst of that now. So some of the leading indicators that points to this risk. You have an inverted yield curve. Has been flashing recession warnings since 2023. Corporate defaults are rising, especially in real estate, retail, and small cap companies. And consumer sentiment is near historic lows, reflecting fear of recession and worse, which means people are holding on to that money. They're not going out buying these big houses and cars and stuff like that.
That's right. Damn straight. I'm buying a beater just to get me from point A to point B. Like I'm not trying to spend 200 grand on a freaking car. Forget about it. I used to be about that. Not anymore. I learned not to be a retard, so. I grew up.
So it also has a thing on here it says the overall signs that that is about to go through some type of economic distress. Credit card debt hits a record high. Delinquencies are rising fast, especially among younger borrowers. You got the evictions and your foreclosures. Your buy now and pay later defaults are increasing. A sign that people are using short-term credit to make ends meet, which that's what a lot of this stuff is going on now. People using credit cards to pay everything and just letting them credit cards rack up, not being able to pay it back at the end of the month, racking them car limits up. Although inflation is lower than 2022, core essentials like food, rent, and insurance remain elevated.
Man, look at used car loans. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, dude, they're up to like 20% if you have like somewhat shitty credit. Like, that's insane. What? Credit card on a used car? Oh, hell no. Why do you think I bought my car outright? I just bought it outright because they were trying to charge me some bullshit like 17%. I'm like, so I'm going to pay like 20 grand on top of the course of the loan if I just kept to the course of the loan, which I would never do. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm just going to buy this whole thing because I'm not going to lose that much money. Real quick, Papa Penguin comes in with a 5 spot. He says, in a year, this will be worth $1. Yeah, no kidding, bro. Hey, thank you for making it rain on us. I very much appreciate your contribution to the channel.
It says real wages are stagnant for many, especially lower middle income brackets. Big tech and finance firms have trimmed headcounts. Retail, manufacturing, and transportation sectors have began slowing hiring and cutting staff. Several regional banks have failed to merge under stress. Office real estate is in crisis due to remote work, with default risk looming for large commercial landlords. So a lot of those commercial buildings that's vacant, going to basically stay vacant. Can't leave Mike Ball behind.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Papa. Can't leave Mike Ball behind. I appreciate you making it rain on us, man. And yeah, can't leave me behind. I only got one leg to stand on. You know what I mean? You can't do that to that poor guy. Anyways, back to AB.
You've been awful quiet over there, Aaron. What you got, brother?
Well, I just been waiting my turn patiently. You guys been carrying all the heavy lifting today, so that's cool with me. But I would recommend people start devising some sort of a budget now, so that they can start preparing, because this is something that you have to prepare for in advance, and it's better to be over prepared than under prepared if we get into this type scenario. You can start off by locking in your housing costs. If you've got a variable rate mortgage or an adjustable rate mortgage, refinance your house and lock it into a fixed rate so that you can know what your payment's going to be month to month. You don't want some interest rate to change and then suddenly your payments jumping through the roof. You can't effectively budget that way. We've talked in the past of getting some sort of a food and water pantry together. See if you can put together a 30 days deal minimum, and then start expanding down 30 days to 60 days, then go to 90, then go to 6 months, and then eventually end up close to a year. If you can grow a garden, do so. Learn some skills. If not for else, grow some things and some potted plants around the house so that you can understand the ins and outs. Get you a seed bank started and put together, because you're not going to grow anything if you don't have seeds. And seeds will go through the roof when we get ready to get into an economic collapse. I would say split your money up. You don't want to keep all your money in one place, all your eggs in one basket. Split it up between your credit union and your big bank. So if one of them goes under, it doesn't take your entire life savings with it. I say to develop healthy habits, which that's what I'm having to do. I've had to adjust my life because I was having dizzy spells. I was getting sick. So I had to change my diet. I have to start walking. I have to start working out, because if we get into a bad situation and we get into a real economic collapse, that can last years or decades. Look at the Great Depression. That lasted for 10 years. It created your first group of migrant farm workers, and it also created work camps. An economic collapse can lead to a breakdown of law and order. So, and it's also going to lead to widespread violence. So you can't have one without the other here. When the economy goes into crisis, people are going to lose jobs. The more job skills you have, or if you're an expert at something, if you're expert in a tech field, or you're an expert plumber or electrician, or you're an expert mechanic, you'll be able to get work. But if you're just rank and file assembly line worker, you don't have the skill sets that's going to guarantee you employment through a bad economic period. Learn all the skills that you can right now. Be the one that when you start to form your community, and communities are going to make it better through the situation because they can barter and trade among themselves. They can trade skills and things among themselves. One or two people aren't going to make it through this if we actually go into an economic collapse, because your cash is going to be worthless. The more people you got in your community, that's combining all the knowledge and skills that everybody has. And that guarantees the survival of the community as a whole. That's the reason why communities have a better chance of making it over an individual or Rambo type. You gotta lay your head down sometime. If you get sick or you get your leg broke, who's going to care for you? Who's going to bring you food and water? That's
Yeah,
the
no
reason why a
kidding.
lot of them mountain men that lived out in the mountains by themselves, the first time a bear attacked them or they broke an ankle or something, they couldn't get food or get water to themselves, they died.
Yeah.
I mean, as I've said in the past, two is one is none. The more people working together, the better your chances are of making it through a situation. Uh, Learn self-defense, learn how to use defensive tools, both lethal and non-lethal. Um, I say learn how to barter, have things that you can barter, medical kits, alcohol, cigarettes, batteries, but never barter guns or ammo, because that can be turned against you to
That's
take what
right.
resources you
Keep
have.
that ammo. Keep it always. Don't trade
Continue
that
to
shit.
continue to invest in hard assets that you can hold in your hand, land, gold, silver, gold backs, things of that nature. Those will go up in value when the US dollar goes down. Ask yourself, can you create your own electricity right now? Do you have, if we get into an economic collapse, the grid's going to be unreliable. It's good. They're going to be turning it on and turning it off. Do you have the ability to create your own electricity? Have you created an emergency fund? Do you have non-perishable foods in your house? Like I said, a year's worth or more to be better. You got to be constantly working toward this thing, because when this goes down, it's going to be bad. And can you raise chicken and fish If you got aquariums around the house, you can raise tilapia and bluegill right there on your property. Chickens can be raised. A lot of cities will allow you to have 6 to 8 chickens on your land.
You know
Food,
what's great is I get 7 eggs a day, and we got 15,000 fish that are repopulating in there nonstop.
okay.
You know, that's the right way to go if you need to live off the grid, you know, and live off your own land.
Yeah, and if we get into an economic collapse, food and water is going to be the most precious resource that you've got. So don't forget that. And food and water is also going to be an excellent barter item. But I see what time it is. I'm going to shut my mouth. I'll let you take over, Bishop.
Oh, you fine, brother. You fine.
Okay.
You fine. But overall, I mean, think about it. If you made it this far in this program, then you're not like most people.
That's
You're
right.
aware. You're paying attention.
Truth seeker.
Exactly. Economic collapse is not a Hollywood movie.
Right.
That's a real slow squeeze. And if you're prepared now, you won't just survive in this situation. You will lead, and you will lead this situation. So what we did tonight this was a simulation. This was a simulation based on current stress signals and patterns for 1 year. 1 year from now. Now, when you watch this, you could take it as a grain of salt, or you could take it for what it's worth and prepare yourself. Now, naturally, nobody will want to wish this on anyone, but I'd rather be prepared for this than to sit back and say, oh no, that ain't gonna happen. We gonna be good. They gonna get us up out of here. Yeah. Ain't nobody gonna get us up out of here. The only thing at the end of the day, if something like this go on, the only thing that you're gonna have to depend on first and foremost is gonna be yourself. And if you have a community together, even better. If you don't have a community set up, I advise you to start looking at some people that you know, that you trust, that you know that you can put something together. Because this stuff is essential. You know what I mean? This is I could say a life or death situation, because if something got as bad as it says here, absolutely. You're gonna need every advantage that you could possibly get.
Yeah, this is without warfare right now.
Right. This is right.
Straight
this ain't
economic.
Right. This ain't talking about no warfare at all. This is just talking about just straight economic trend based on the pattern that is going as of right now.
Right. And that's a big thing to know.
So, like I said, I want to thank everybody for coming out, like always. Like, follow, share, subscribe, pass it on. Hit that like button for sure. I mean, to get this out in the proper algorithm, that more people can watch these shows and be able to be prepared, learn from this. You know, this ain't a show that we do conspiracy theories. This is a show that we put out truth, and a lie doesn't get a free pass here. So, like I said, thank you all for coming out, and I'll see y'all in 7 days. Go ahead, Aaron.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. Look at all the societies and civilizations that's been around since the beginning of recorded time. Romans, Greeks, everybody's economy has collapsed at one point or another. Their money went almost worthless.
Belly up.
Okay. And if you look at it historically, you realize that there is no nation whose economy is invincible, nor is there a currency. People say the American dollar is the strongest in the world, which right now it is, but it is losing purchasing power. There's been twice in the U.S. history the dollar became worthless, both in the 1800s. Look it up.
Wow.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the reason why it took an act of Congress and the president to sign that order to make people turn in their gold and silver for paper money, because
okay, that was the incentive for that.
Yeah.
That they never got back.
Of course.
But As I start to say, it's better to be over prepared than to be underprepared. You'll see the signs, you'll see this coming. It's going to be a slow burn. It's better for you to adjust your economy in your home now to where you can gradually go into this than later be faced with going into a cold turkey and then you don't know what to do. Just take your time. You got plenty of time right now. Gradually go into it, adjust your economy. You'll be fine. I'll stop there.
Well, I can't thank you guys both enough. The amount of details that you guys go into every single week is amazing, to say the least. I learn a lot being on the show with you guys, so I really appreciate you guys spreading the knowledge. I'm all about truth seeking, and I think that's what everyone here is also here to do. Obviously, if they're here right now, that's what they're here for. Real quick, I do want to give a shout out to Brother Steve Easy. He sends in, if only we were all handsome as Mike. Yeah, okay, well, I just butchered that. But I very much appreciate the donation there, kind sir. Appreciate you making it rain. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are still here, I very much appreciate you guys hitting the like button on each side, whether it's the end, beginning, middle, whatever. Just you guys hit that like button. It means the world to all of us. Make sure you guys stick around. We're going to be rating on my side our buddy Grid One Motorsports, so make sure you guys hit the like over there as well. Until then, much love, honor, respect, everybody, and we'll see you guys next week here in 7 days.